Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Friday, March the 25th. Not a big slate for a Friday night, just a 7-gamer. Normally we have, bigger slates on Fridays, but just 7 games tonight. As always, guys, we are still going to talk through each one of these 7 games, break down each team, kind of give my early thoughts, what I do like, taking a first look at the slate on Thursday night. And then as we do go through each game, we will build out an early core, talk about 5 players I specifically like on both DraftKings and on Yahoo at first look. But as always, appreciate you guys checking out the video. Hit that like button down below if you have not yet. Hit that subscribe button as well if you are new here. Also, go check out the sponsor of this video, Prize Picks. So Prize Picks, if you're new, they are a player prop based DFS site. It is very simple. You're just picking the over or the under on players' projections. They offer a lot of sports outside of just NBA. Obviously, with this being an NBA video, I'm sure most of you are interested in NBA, but they do offer college basketball, PGA, basically every sport you can imagine PrizePicks has on their board. You can mix and match sports. You can win up to 10 extra money over there. It's very simple. You're just picking the over or the under on players' projections. They do already have some stuff posted for Friday's games, but obviously, this is not their full board. As we get closer to tip-off Friday night, you'll see their full board posted with a ton of projections for just about every game and every player, and you're just picking the over or the under if you have a lean one way or the other. So check them out, guys. Sign up. Use promo code NOAH when you do. If you sign up with my promo code, they will match your first deposit up to $100. Basically, whatever you deposit, they'll double that up to $100. So check them out. If you have not yet, sign up with that code and get your deposit bonus. But let's talk through Friday night slate. Start off with the first game of the night, the Jazz and the Hornets. So looking at the Jazz today, when the Jazz are fully healthy, they're a tough team to get excited about, but I will say this matchup against Charlotte is really good. They're still missing Bojan, which is kind of important because Bojan does play a decent amount of minutes. He is a starter. Getting him out of there does open up more minutes for Jordan Clarkson. Maybe NAW plays a little bit more. Maybe Rudy Gay. They still do have a lot of bodies though, but I think like a guy like Donovan Mitchell offers plenty of upside here on this slate at 9K. Does Donovan Mitchell stand out as like a top stud? I don't think so, but I think in the matchup against Charlotte, how fast-paced Charlotte plays, still playing at one of the fastest paces in the league. They're 4th in pace on the season. Wouldn't be surprised to see a big game from Donovan Mitchell today. I have no issues going there. I think Rudy Gobert though is my favorite play from Utah. Really like the spot for Rudy Gobert. He's one of my favorite center options. 7,600 on DraftKings, only $31 on Yahoo. I like him a lot on both sides. The matchup's fantastic. Charlotte's been getting killed by bigs this year. We've seen a lot of guys have huge games against Charlotte pretty recently. I know Jonas Valanciunas had like over 60 fantasy points against them. Pretty sure the Hornets are allowing like the most or second most fantasy points to centers this season. The matchup's fantastic. Gobert should be able to dominate here. He crushed Charlotte earlier this season when they played. He put up 55 DraftKings points in 36 minutes, had 23 points, 21 rebounds, 2 assists, a block, and a steal. Wouldn't be surprised to see another 50-point game from Gobert, 50 DraftKings points game. So 7,600 for this matchup is way too cheap. I like Gobert a ton today. The rest of the Utah guys, Jordan Clarkson, his minutes have been really high with Bojan out. Played 27 last game in a blowout, but played 37 the game before that and 39 the game before that. So I think we're going to get like at least 30 minutes from Jordan Clarkson. The matchup's really good. Don't have an issue going to him. Probably it though from Utah. I don't see too much else I really like here. I believe they did start Eric Pascal last game. He played 25 minutes, had 14 DK points. Like, even if Eric Pascal starts again, I don't think I'd go there. I'm really just kind of interested in Mitchell, Gobert, Clarkson, and that's probably it from Utah. So let's move on to the other side of this game with Charlotte. Looking at the Hornets, LaMelo, Terry Rozier, Miles Bridges, I say it every video, these guys are always in play because in games that Charlotte keeps close, usually LaMelo, Rozier, Bridges are all going to play, pretty big minutes, and we've seen LaMelo's minutes start to get really, really high. Last game he played 39 minutes against the Knicks. He actually played the most minutes on the team, which is something we haven't seen in a while. But man, like if they're going to give LaMelo those kind of minutes, he's going to be a really strong play now. Does his minutes, does he continue to play 39 minutes? I don't know. That could have just been because he was playing really well. But it was at least good to see him get big minutes last game. If we get low to mid-30s minutes from LaMelo, we know he's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet, can do everything. He's always got big-time upside. He's probably my favorite play from Charlotte if I had to play anyone on this team. I know the price has gotten up a little bit, but I definitely have interest in LaMelo for tournaments. Again, Rozier and Bridges, they're both fine. I don't think either one stand out on this slate because I don't love the spot against Utah, but again, these guys are going to play so many minutes that they're viable options. The rest of Charlotte, though, I don't really see anything else here that I'm interested in. going up against Gobert, you would think this is a spot where maybe Mason Plumlee has to play a little bit more. Last time they played Utah, excuse me, Plumlee was fine. He had 21 DK points in 26 minutes. His minutes have kind of been all over the place. Last 2 games, though, he has played 24 and 27 minutes. Again, I would think Plumlee matches up better than Harrell does going up against Gobert, so maybe this is a spot where Plumlee plays like 28, 30 minutes, but he's nothing more than like a low-owned dart throw. Yeah, I think that's really it for Charlotte. So let's move on to the next game, Washington and Detroit. And looking at the Wizards today, they are the only team on a back-to-back, so we'll have to pay attention to the Wizards injury report. Kristaps Porzingis did play Thursday. He played, I think, pretty decent minutes. He played like 30 minutes or 31 minutes against Milwaukee. I'm guessing Porzingis plays today. Last time they were on a back-to-back, he did play. So I'm assuming Porzingis is in. If he is, I mean, the spot against Detroit's pretty solid, and Porzingis' usage and role has been really good with the Wizards so far. His minutes are also starting to get back up there. He has played over 30 minutes in back-to-back games. On a back-to-back, do they play him 30-plus minutes again? That's a question. I don't know, but I think the matchup's really good. I don't have an issue with Porzingis. Kuzma is questionable. He did not play Thursday. We don't really have any update on Kuzma yet. I'm guessing he plays today, but that'll be something worth monitoring. If he plays, not much interest. If he's out, though, yeah, that just makes Porzingis look even better. The rest of the Wizards, this is just a team like, man, I really don't like ever playing I don't like ever play these guys. I mean, KCP at 5,600 never stands out to me. Denny Avia, I mean, he's had some solid games recently, but at almost 5K, I don't have a ton of interest in Denny Avia. Rui Hachimura should start again if Kyle Kuzma's out, so like maybe you could go to Rui, but that's another guy that really lacks upside. It's just not that appealing of a spot here for Washington. They're not a team I have a ton of interest in, but we'll definitely need to pay attention to the injury report because they are on a back-to-back, and maybe they sit some guys. We'll have to see. But let's move on to the other side of this game with Detroit. So looking at the Pistons, another team that I'm not that high on. The Pistons are pretty much fully healthy right now. Hamidou Diallo's out still, but they got Cade, Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant all healthy. Cade at 8,700. Just too expensive, in my opinion. Matchup against Washington is pretty good. The Wizards' defense has been really bad just as of late and on the season in terms of defensive rating. They're bottom 10, bottom 5 in defensive rating on the season. So I think it's a good matchup for K, but he's almost 9K. So I think at that price tag, I'm not really that high on him. Sadiq Bey and Jeremy Grant, neither one of those guys stand out at their price points. I just think they don't offer a ton of upside at these tags. Maybe Jeremy Grant at 7,100. If I had to go to anyone, he might be my favorite guy to go to here, but not super high on many Pistons today. Isaiah Stewart's in a great matchup. The Wizards have been getting killed by bigs this year, but you just never know how many minutes Isaiah Stewart's going to play. Some nights he'll play 32, some nights he'll play 22. Could see him putting up a good game if he plays like 30 minutes, but I really don't think I'm going to take that risk today. I'm not super high on many Pistons. This game in general is not one I'm targeting too heavily. So let's move on to the next game, the Warriors and the Hawks. On the Warriors side, they're still going to be without Steph Curry, so that solidifies Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins for all, having pretty solid roles. At 8,100, I'm not that interested in Klay. I just think he's too expensive right now. Obviously, Klay has big-time upside, and we saw what he can do in that game against Milwaukee. Had a great scoring game, scored 60 Draftkings points. He was shooting the ball really well. But, man, at 8K, over 8K, you're going to need 50 Draftkings points from Klay, and he just hasn't shown that constant ceiling, that consistent ceiling to be worth his salary. On the other hand, though, Jordan Poole has been really good. So you look at the last few games he's played without Steph. Last game had 49 DK points against Miami in a tough matchup. Against Orlando, played 40 minutes, had 38 DK points, 39 DK points against San Antonio. Jordan Poole's been the most consistent Warriors guy as of late. He's been playing huge minutes as well, 40 and 39 minutes the last 2 games. Steve Kerr seems pretty content on playing Jordan Poole huge minutes right now. Matchup against Atlanta, I think, is pretty good. Atlanta's defense has not been that great as of late and just this season. 7,800, I like Jordan Poole quite a bit today. He's definitely my favorite Warrior to target on this slate. On Yahoo, I like him a lot over there as well. If you want to play him on Yahoo at $26, for sure stands out as one of the better point guard options on Yahoo. And then if, Andrew Wiggins is fine, but I think he's kind of similar to Klay at his price tag. I do kind of question the upside on Wiggins at 7,200. But he's a fine option. The rest of the Warriors, I'm not going to. Draymond Green's still on a minutes limit, so I'm not interested in him. Kevon Looney, I really never play. Otto Porter, Kuminga, the bench guys, I'm not going to. So I think that's it from the Warriors. I think that's really everything I'm interested in here. Let's move on to the other side of this game with Atlanta. So looking at the Hawks today, you got Trae Young at 10,700. Matchup here against the Warriors, I think's decent. Without Steph, their backcourt defense is really not that great. It's probably going to be Klay that guards Trae, and Klay's a decent defender, but he's not as elite of a defender as he used to be I could see Trey having a big game here. Golden State, this season in terms of pace, they've been about middle of the pack in pace. They were towards the top of the league in pace to start the season. They've kind of fallen down as the season progressed. Don't hate this spot for Trey. On this slate, though, he's not my favorite pay-up option by any means. Atlanta in general is not a team I'm that high on today. John Collins is still out, so that should solidify Clint Capella for decent minutes, but we've still seen Capella's minutes have not been great lately. He only played 17 last game against Detroit. I really don't know why. I know it was a blowout. I don't think he played at all in the fourth quarter, but I think a lot of the starters played some minutes in the fourth quarter, and Capella was the only guy that didn't. It seemed like they wanted to just play small. Last game, Golden State, we know, is fine to play small ball, so I could see this game going small. Maybe we play, maybe we see Gallo play the 5 some. I just don't feel great about Capella right now. Gallo at 5,200, his minutes should be pretty secure without John Collins. He has played 41 and 30 minutes the last 2 games, actually played 30-plus minutes in 3 straight games. Again, I think this could be a game that goes small, and you see Gallo maybe play the 5 a little bit. He did have 10 rebounds last game. Obviously, his rebounding numbers would spike if he winds up playing some minutes at center. 5,200 for Gallo might be my favorite play on Atlanta. If I had to play a Hawk today, he'd be the first guy I think I'd click. But that's it for this game. Let's move on to the next one, the Knicks and the Heat. So looking at the Knicks today, some question marks we'll have to monitor here. Julius Randle questionable and Mitchell Robinson questionable. These are definitely important injuries. For right now, I'm just going to assume these guys are out just because we really haven't gotten any update yet. If Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson are both out again, Obi Toppin, we saw what he did last game with those guys out, played 40 minutes, had 47 Draftkings points. He did start the game before that with Randle out, only played 24 minutes, but he was in foul trouble that game. I think if Randle's out again, we're going to get big minutes from Obi Toppin. Now, the matchup against Miami is obviously not great, but Obi Toppin has been able to produce when he's been given opportunity. Given how well he played last game against Charlotte, you would have to think the minutes are going to be there as long as Randle remains out. And just for now, I'm going to assume that Randle doesn't play again. This will be something to monitor. If Randle plays, obviously I won't be as high on Toppin, but 4,500 for Obi Toppin. If Randle's out, I like him quite a bit. On Yahoo, price tag came up a little bit, but I still think $16 for Obi Toppin is probably too cheap on Yahoo as well. Minutes should be there as long as Randle sits, and if Randle does sit, I like Toppin quite a bit. Now, RJ Barrett, his role would obviously be really good if Randle's out. Last 2 games without Randle, we've seen RJ Barrett play 42 and 38 minutes, score 54 and 40 DK points. Been driving a lot, been taking a lot of shots, 25 and 19 shot attempts the last few games. Did not have a great peripheral game last game, only 3 rebounds and 3 assists after getting 13 rebounds the game before that. I would think his rebounding numbers do spike with Randle and maybe Robinson off the floor if those guys are out. So even in a tough matchup, I think Barrett's definitely in play. Alec Burks would benefit as well, but at 6,100, I'm not super high on him at that price tag. And then the rest of the Knicks, Quickly, Fournier, I don't think I'm going to these guys. I do want to mention that Jericho Sims did start last game in place of Mitchell Robinson. He played 26 minutes. He got off to a pretty hot start, but didn't really do much after that. The matchup against Miami is obviously brutal, going up against Bam. There's a lot of foul trouble risks, but if Jericho Sims does start at center again, then he's an okay value play, but I think he does carry some risk because there's obviously foul trouble concerns guarding, Bam. But that's it for the Knicks. Let's move on to the other side of this game with Miami. So right now, Miami, there's just so much up in the air. You can see it. Jimmy Butler, questionable. Tyler Hero, questionable, I believe. I think all these guys are questionable. Caleb Martin's questionable. Duncan Robinson, questionable. And PJ Tucker is questionable. So, yeah, there you go. We got 5 players questionable for Miami right now. And Victor Oladipo's already been ruled out, and Gabe Vincent's already been ruled out. So this is a really tough team to break down right now. It's just a tricky situation. It's just a wait and see for Miami. Because if all these questionable guys are out, that leaves Miami with I don't even know if they would have enough players to play the game, honestly. They would have Bam, Lowry, Strus, Markieff Morris. Is Javonte Smart, is he on the team? I don't even know. Haslam. Some of these questionable guys are going to have to play because they probably won't even have enough players if all these guys are out. But the big ones to monitor are definitely Jimmy and Hero. So Jimmy and Hero, if they're in, I really don't see anything on Miami I'm targeting. Matchup against the Knicks is mediocre. Knicks defense has definitely been better lately, and the Knicks do play really slow. In general, this is a game I don't really want to be heavy on because these are 2 very slow-paced teams, and I think this could be a very low-scoring game. Obviously, I do like Obi Toppin if Randle sits, but the Miami side, it's just a wait and see right now. If Butler and Hero are in, I'm not targeting anything here, I don't think. If Butler and Hero are out, then we can look to Bam, then we can look to Lowry, then we can look to some of these value guys depending on who plays. But man, right now it's just tough to really break down Miami because there's just so much up in the air, so many questionable guys. I'm assuming that most of these, if not all these questionable guys, play. If all these guys get ruled out or something crazy happens, then we'll definitely talk through things more. Obviously, we'll break down this Miami team again in the live stream an hour before lock. Right now, just a wait and see for me on the Heat. So let's move on to the next game. Dallas and Minnesota. Looking at Dallas today, Luka is back for this game after missing their last game. With Luka back, obviously Brunson and Dinwiddie are pretty much out of play at their price tags. The rest of Dallas is really never appealing with Luka in. Luka's the one guy I could see playing from Dallas. Matchup here against Minnesota, I don't love. Minnesota did do a pretty good job stopping Luka last time they played. Obviously, Patrick Beverley, was all up in Luka's face. Does Luka come out here for vengeance? I think he might. I mean, him and Patrick Beverley were going at it. It didn't seem like Luka doesn't seem to be a big fan of Patrick Beverley. I don't think many people are in general. Don't love the matchup, but Luka does have a ton of upside. And, you look at the stud options on this slate. Like, we don't have Giannis. We don't have Jokic. We do have Joel Embiid. We do have Trae Young. But I think outside of maybe Embiid, like, Luka's got the highest upside on this slate. So he is definitely in play. It just comes down to what kind of value we get as the day goes on. Because right now, there's not much value on the slate. That could all change. We've seen guys just getting ruled out every single day. That could happen today. But right now, Luka's the only guy I'm interested in from Dallas, and it's really tough to build around Luka because there's just not a ton of value today. On the Minnesota side, though, Karl-Anthony Towns is currently questionable, which is obviously important news, but Cat's been questionable for like the last 4 games, and he's played in every game, so I'm just going to assume that Cat is playing once again. If Cat's playing, not a ton that I love on Minnesota. I mean, matchup against Dallas for Cat, I think is pretty good. Dallas' defense, especially against bigs, is a team you can attack. Now, Dallas' team defense has been really good this year, but down low and against big men, they're a team you can beat. So don't hate the spot for Cat. Anthony Edwards and D'Angelo Russell at their price tags, I don't think they really stand out. Patrick Beverley, I'm not really interested in. I just don't see much I'm liking on Minnesota today. This is another team that there's not much that stands out. My thoughts would obviously change here if Cat gets ruled out, but for now, I'm just going to assume that Cat is playing. So let's move on to the next game, Houston and Portland. So this is one that, for DFS purposes should be fun to target because both these teams are very bad defensively. Both these teams do play somewhat fast, especially Houston. Houston on the season been playing at the second fastest pace in the league. Portland, on the other hand, is around middle of the pack. This is basically a game of who wants to lose this game more because neither of these teams are playing for anything right now. Obviously, we're seeing on Portland. I mean, Portland is just sitting everyone. Like, Josh Hart's out again. Justice Winslow's out again. Like, they're just sitting everyone at this point. They have no intentions of winning games right now. Neither does Houston, but I think, if this game does stay close and, the main guys play their full minutes, we could see some big outings here because, Portland's defense is so bad that I feel like this is a spot that Christian Wood can definitely take advantage of. We've seen Christian Wood do really well when he gets good matchups. Against Washington, he had a huge game. Against Indiana, he had a huge game. This is a spot where I think we could get a big Christian Wood game. Going up against Drew Eubanks and Trenton Watford, he should be able to crush those guys. Christian Wood is a very productive player when he's on the floor. It's just a matter of if Houston can keep the game close so that Christian Wood plays his full minutes. When they do keep games close, we see Christian Wood have big outings, and I think this could be one of those times. So definitely have interest in Christian Wood. I think Kevin Porter Jr. looks really appealing. $6K for Kevin Porter Jr. I think is way too cheap. I know he's been pretty bad the last few games, but some of these games have been blowouts. He hasn't really played that well. Some of them have also been tough matchups, like the game against Dallas, that was a tough matchup. Game against Memphis was a tough matchup. Washington, it was kind of weird that he didn't do as great against Washington given how good of a spot that was, but he did well against Indiana. He did well even in a tough spot against Phoenix. Now he gets to face a Portland team that is just terrible defensively. That's been one of the worst defensive teams this season. I think this is a great spot for Kevin Porter Jr., and I like him quite a bit at $6K. I think he looks really appealing today. Like him a lot on Yahoo as well. I feel like he's way too cheap over there. Only $20 on Yahoo. Definitely think KPJ stands out as a solid play on Yahoo as well. And then even like a guy like Jalen Green, I have no issue going to. If this game's close, we should get 30-plus minutes from Jalen Green. We've seen him be more productive as of late, been somewhat consistent. I know he's had some bad games lately, but this is a good matchup, and I definitely could see Jalen Green having a good game here. Don't think I'm going to anyone else on Houston, though, outside of Wood, KPJ, and Green. No one else stands out on this team, so let's talk about talk about Portland now. So looking at the Blazers, pretty sure we already have gotten word that Josh Hart is going to be out. I think I saw that earlier. Justice Winslow's out. I didn't see anything on Anthony Simons, but I'm just guessing that he's out again because obviously right now Portland, they're trying to lose. I mean, they don't want to win games. They're tanking. So Josh Hart, Anthony Simons, Justice Winslow, I'm guessing are all out again, which leaves opportunity for all these guys. I will say that like the price tags on DraftKings have gotten to a point where these Portland guys are not super appealing. Like Trenton Watford's almost 7K. Really tough for him to put up a big ceiling to be worth this 7K price tag. Brandon Williams went to the bench last game and saw his minutes get cut, so that's definitely concerning. I'm not super high on Brandon Williams anymore, especially if he's coming off the bench. Drew Eubanks is the one guy that's been pretty consistent. Last 2 games, 31 and 36 minutes, and he did play in the blowout last game, which was kind of crazy. He started and he played in a blowout, so man, if Drew Eubanks is going to play 35, 36 minutes like he did last game, I mean, he's in play at 6,300, especially because it is a good matchup against the Rockets. Chris Dunn, though, is the guy that I do want to talk about. So Chris Dunn did start last game over Brandon Williams, and he wasn't super productive. He had 22 DK points in 25 minutes, but the matchup here against Houston is obviously fantastic. This is a game that we would think probably stays close, given how shit both these teams are. I don't know what the spread is for this game, but I would assume it's only a couple points. I don't know if we're going to get like 36 minutes from Chris Dunn, but I think we'll get 28 to 30. And he's a productive enough player that if he does start and play 30 minutes, especially against Houston, he can easily eclipse 30-plus DraftKings points. So at 4,500, if Chris Dunn is starting again, I do like him a lot as a value play. I mean, he's cheap on Yahoo, really cheap over there, only $11. He's definitely one of the better values at first look. Right now, there's not a ton of value plays on this slate, but I do like Chris Dunn quite a bit. That's probably it for Portland. I don't think I'm going to anyone else on this team. CJ Ellaby had a huge game 2 games ago, but then last game he came back down to earth, only had 6 DraftKings points in 20 minutes, so I wouldn't be going there. Yeah, I think that's it for Portland. Let's move on to the last game of the night, the Sixers and the Clippers. So the Sixers today, Joel Embiid, I think, is in a great spot here. He should absolutely destroy this Clippers team. The Clippers have been a team that's just been getting killed by bigs this season. We've seen Zubac just really struggle on the defensive end. They allow a lot of points in the paint, and Embiid crushed the Clippers earlier this year. He put up 67 DraftKings points in 36 minutes. He had 40 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists. Now, obviously, that was before James Harden had arrived. With James Harden now playing, I think Embiid still offers a big ceiling, can still put up a huge game. On this slate, I think I might rather prefer going to Luka over Embiid, but that's definitely close. I think Embiid is a very solid pay-up option here in a matchup that he should be able to dominate in. Harden, on the other hand, at 10K, I'm not as high on. He's just been mediocre playing with Embiid. He just doesn't offer the same ceiling that Embiid does, and given where their price tags are at, I think I would just try and find the salary to get up to Embiid. So not very high on Harden. The rest of the Sixers, I'm just not going to. And then on the other side of this game with the Clippers, we got word that the Clippers are going to be limiting their guys. So Reggie Jackson is going to be limited to 32 minutes moving forward. He's going to be capped at 32 minutes. So Reggie Jackson is going to be on a minutes limit. I'm not going to go there. Marcus Morris is going to be capped at 25 minutes. So they're going to limit Marcus Morris. And they said they're going to limit Nick Batum as well at 19 minutes. So given that they're limiting Jackson, Morris, and Batum, I'm guessing that means we're going to get more minutes for a guy like Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann has been playing pretty big minutes lately, and he did play 35 minutes off the bench last game. 5,500, like if we're going to get 30-plus minutes from Terrence Mann off the bench, I think he's a solid play. I mean, Terrence Mann has been productive when he's gotten minutes, and you would think with how the Clippers are kind of playing things right now, they maybe want to take a look at these young guys, see what they have in them, and obviously Terrence Mann is someone they want to continue to try and develop, so I think Terrence Mann might be my favorite play on the Clippers. Not going to Jackson, Morris, or Batum because they're limited. Zubac against Embiid, I'm not really going to. That's just a scary spot, and I worry about foul trouble as well. He really struggled, or he didn't struggle, but he was mediocre against Embiid earlier this season. Just 27 DK points in 23 minutes. I think that's it for the Clippers. I mean, this is a team like right now. The Clippers are like the team you just fade. I mean, Ty Lue is going to play whoever he wants. He's going to run a 12-man rotation every night. You never know who's going to play big minutes. I think most nights, like a guy like Terrence Mann is probably going to get big minutes, so he's the Clipper that I feel best about. But I hate this Clippers team. They run just their rotations with how they play things. They wave the white flag really early. Like if the Clippers are ever getting blown out, they'll just completely just pull all the starters and just give up. So I really don't want to roster many Clippers today, and I don't think I'm going to. If I had to play anyone on this team, it would be Terrence Mann. But that's it for the Clippers, and that's it for this 7-game Friday night slate. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, I appreciate you watching. Hit that like button down below if you enjoyed, guys. Hit that subscribe button as well. And check out the sponsor of the video, Prize Picks. As we mentioned at the beginning, if you want to check out Prize Picks, you can sign up with my promo code NOAH. They'll match your first deposit up to $100 when you do sign up with my code. And Prize Picks, they're a very simple DFS site to use. It's just you versus the projections. You're picking over or under whether a player goes over their projection. You can mix and match sports. You can win up to 10 extra money. Definitely give Prize Picks a try if you guys have not yet, if you have not signed up over there. But that's it for this Friday night slate. Thanks for watching, guys. Best of luck tonight, and we will see you in the next video.